The CRUMB rubber fields, which so many high schools and colleges are using. And there are people who are saying now that it is unsafe.
Is there somebody out there trying to figure out what is in these fields and is it dangerous for anybody who plays on them? Because you do get it all over.
Well, Julie Foudy, of course, one of the great women's soccer players, reported this story for us, and she went looking for some answers.
It's a familiar fall scene. Kids playing the beautiful game. But increasingly, these fields they play on are raising concerns about player health and safety.
All these kids that are playing because they love it, I want them to be safe. I want to know the truth. Tell me, is it good or is it bad for us?
There's something like 27 chemicals of concern, 11 of which are carcinogenic: mercury, arsenic, cadmium, chromium, lead.
The heart of the issue is people that are raising alarms that are unfounded and scaring people.
Are we making smart choices?
They have not found levels of concern, but that doesn't mean it's the same as saying it's totally safe.
2, 6 save, 1.
Seattle, Washington, the epicenter of a national debate.
What is your first memory of those black pellets? Just that they were everywhere. 1, because she wasn't taking a touch. That was the first.
Amy Griffin is a former member of the U.S. women's national team and currently the goalkeeper coach for the University of Washington.
For the goalkeepers, it's tough because you have your gloves on, and so if you get those in your eyes, it was always like, can you come over here and get this black dot out of my eyes? But still, I didn't really think. I was just like, yeah, black dots everywhere, yeah, whatever.
Those little black dots, called CRUMB rubber, are used as an infill on the over 12,000 synthetic turf fields in the U.S. They are promoted as a low-maintenance, durable alternative to natural grass, making them popular for many sports in rainy climates like Seattle.
There's a couple players that I knew very well, and they both came down with lymphoma about the very same time. They said, yeah, I just think it's those black dots, and they both were kind of joking about it. Yeah, they get in our sores, they get in our eyes, they're everywhere, we eat them. That was probably 2009, and I didn't think too much of it.
Griffin would often visit Seattle Children's Hospital with her players. It was during one of those visits in 2009 that she noticed a pattern.
I'm with a kid that has cancer. I find out that she's a goalkeeper, and so we're telling crazy goalkeeper stories, and the nurse walks by and she goes, wow, she goes, you're a goalkeeper? That's weird, you're like the 5th goalkeeper I've hooked up this week. That's kind of what started that. I'm going home, I'm making a list.
Griffin started taking names and personal information for every athlete with cancer she met. Name 145 on the list, 14-year-old goalkeeper Jack Bryant.
What is life like as a cancer patient?
They'd stick like an IV through my port, and I'd be about generally an hour to 2 of chemotherapy, and about 3 to 4 hours after, I'd start to feel not so great.
What do you think caused the cancer? There are a lot of things that we do as parents to try to avoid exposure to cancer. Turf fields that he played on is a real concern for me. All right, switch. Ball to feet, play back to her.
In the 6 years since Griffin started her list, it has grown. Out of 187 total athletes, 150 are soccer players. Of those, 95 are goalkeepers.
When I was with the federal government, we would have called that an outbreak.
David Brown is a public health toxicologist. He spent more than a decade working at the National Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. In 2015, he was part of a study aimed at determining the makeup of CRUMB rubber. In the 14 samples tested, 12 known carcinogens were found. And how does it enter your body?
I think they're in the air, you inhale. The problem with the soccer players is that they're diving into the CRUMB rubber. I think they're actually ingesting it.
What populations are at the highest risk on this CRUMB rubber?
I think the children. Young children have incomplete developed systems, so they tend to keep it in the body longer. And the longer it's in your body, the bigger the problem.
Would I have a concern for young kids playing on these fields today? Absolutely not.
Gary Ginsberg is a toxicologist for the Connecticut Department of Public Health. In 2010, he conducted a study on 5 turf fields looking for potential risks to athletes.
There is no increased exposure to particles or inhalable gases that would be a concern for soccer players.
Would you let your kids play on the turf fields?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that kids interact with these days that are not nearly as well tested as this particular consumer product that kids are playing on.
The statement that we use is the preponderance of evidence indicates there's no elevated risk based on all of the studies that have been done.
Al Garver is the president of the Synthetic Turf Council, an industry trade association. What responsibility does the turf industry have to prove with certainty that they're safe?
That's what we're trying to do. And with limited resources, because industry association is a membership association, we want people to investigate, we want people to test, we want people to know and be assured. We want them to do it, though, in a scientific way.
There is no single study that has looked at long-term exposure to CRUMB rubber, which can occur through inhalation, ingestion, or contact with open wounds. CRUMB rubber was introduced in the mid-90s, after the Environmental Protection Agency was looking for a way to dispose of used tires.
They're nasty to deal with. If they catch on fire, the fires are hard to put out. And so the solution was, well, let's make lemonade out of this lemon. Let's take this waste and turn it into a product by chopping it up and putting it into various uses. And one of the most popular and widespread uses is artificial fields.
Jeff Ruck is a lawyer with PEER, a Washington, D.C.-based group working on environmental issues.
It was a solution to a solid waste problem that had a public health blind spot. The way we do things in this country, we for the most part operate on the principle that your chemical is innocent until proven guilty. It goes into the stream of commerce, and only if it produces a body count is there then any sort of regulatory response. Despite promoting that practice, EPA had never done a risk assessment.
They found a use that could use large volumes of this stuff. And so we were like, oh my God, EPA is promoting something.
Suzanne Warthol is a former EPA toxicologist. She agreed to speak with E60 off camera.
And do we have any data to indicate that this is not a problem? And the answer was no, we do not.
In 2008, her office sent this memo, Potential Risks of Tire CRUMB, to EPA headquarters.
They were angry. And I think some careers were made, some awards were given for the good work on figuring out what to do with tires.
The memo stated that children's chronic, repeated exposure to tire CRUMB could present health hazards. Ultimately, the EPA decided not to investigate health effects.
This should have been corrected a long time ago. They've been able to allow themselves to be calm about it all this time and not do anything, and that's very disturbing to me.
So whose responsibility is it to prove that these fields are safe?
I think it's all of ours, and EPA included.
Gina McCarthy is the head of the EPA. 2 weeks ago, Congress sent a letter to her agency asking about the potential link between CRUMB rubber and cancer.
I think that's an appropriate thing for Congress to do because they're hearing concerns in their own districts. And I think it's appropriate for us to answer it, and we'll certainly tell them everything we know. There is no evidence yet that that's making these links, but that doesn't mean we're dismissing the concerns or we don't feel terrible about being able to have the information immediately available. And it's worth looking at those issues because they're issues that I don't believe we have systemically looked at for a long time or ever.
But as the debate continues, more fields are being built and more names being added to Amy Griffin's list.
Now, with the list as big as it is almost as if everyone knows someone who knows someone. Everyone kind of has a common story.
I'll catch it, it'll stop the ball, but not the pellets, and it'll go into my face, it'll go into my eyes and my mouth.
Luke Beardimple grew up in Tacoma, Washington, a standout goalkeeper.
Goalkeepers are in the ground, for their whole practice. When he would wake up and you'd think you'd have sleep in your eye, he'd be pulling out a bit of turf.
Shortly after graduating high school in 2008, Luke was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Okay, Luke on chemo. Supposedly 90% cure rate at first. Then he didn't respond to the chemotherapies, and so, now you have 75%, and then it go down to 60%.
Over the next 7 years, Luke would go through dozens of rounds of chemotherapy. But every time, the cancer came back.
Luke?
Last spring, Luke went in for what was supposed to be a lighter round of chemo.
He started having seizures and everything started falling apart.
He was in a coma, and so that just became very difficult because it just appeared that, this was not going to end the way we hoped.
We ended up bringing him home, hospice, and he was in here in the living room, and I came in, and he was kind of on his last breaths. His breathing was slowing down is what was going on, and he slowed down, and I just told him, Luke, I'm with you, and that was it.
On May 22nd, 2015, Luke Beardimple died. He was 24 years old.
Today, we celebrate Luke. Luke the kid, Luke the soccer player, and Luke my brother.
How many funerals have you been to, Kelly, for young soccer players?
4. Yeah, 4. Yeah. Throughout my career as a coach, I've had 8 kids that have had cancer, and they're all goalkeepers. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doc. I don't know. I just know that there's a high population of goalkeepers who are coming down with cancer.
What is your biggest fear if kids do continue to play on turf fields?
That Amy's list will get bigger. That there would be more people that have to deal with what we dealt with and lose a child.
What do you say to a parent who says, is this safe enough for my kid to play on?
I know that concerns have been raised. You gotta wait to see if those concerns are real, but also there are alternatives to these fields that you can explore. So EPA's job is not to make those decisions for every family. That's not my job to tell every parent what to worry about.
The heart of the issue is people that are raising alarms that are unfounded and scaring people.
I've gotten random texts that say, quit scaring kids, but I really don't. That's the only thing I don't want to do. And I know it's anecdotal if I hear that word one more time, but that's how things start.
All right, we need 8 saves to end this drill. Good. We're at 5.
What Griffin started has caught the attention of the Washington State Department of Health. They are currently comparing her list to the state cancer registry to see if her numbers represent a deviation from the norm. Those results are expected in 2016.
I want to enjoy playing on these fields.
In the meantime, kids like Jack Bryan are faced with a difficult decision.
If he wants to play soccer in Seattle, he has to play in turf fields.
I feel very uncertain because I still really want to go back and play and have fun, but also I'm just kind of cautious about the whole field thing.
There may not be a direct cause effect, but the fact that there is a risk, and it's an unnecessary risk, it seems ridiculous. It's not obscure data. It's someone's child.
Sports matter.
As a child, do you remember your favorite place in the world? At 14 years old, Jonathan Pitcher was going to that place to watch his hometown team,
We got a single lead. Gotta keep it though. Yeah!
the NHL's Ottawa Senators.
I thought I would definitely become a professional athlete. I just said, this is what I'm gonna do. Simple. Nothing else.
It was here in this arena Jonathan dreamed of fans standing, a crowd cheering for him. It would happen, not for the way he played, but for the way he lives. When is the last time you had one pain-free moment?
Never. I never have. Butterfly children. We're called butterfly children because a butterfly's wings is as fragile as their skin.
Jonathan was born with a disease called epidermolysis bullosa, or EB for short. A rare genetic disorder, EB patients lack the glue that normally binds skin together. The slightest touch can result in blistering and wounds comparable to third-degree burns.
Jonathan is in constant pain. He wakes up with pain and goes to bed with pain. It's in our lives forever, all the time.
But the disease has never curbed Jonathan's prime passion.
Sports for us is just everything. gym at school, we would always adapt the sport that we would play so I could play.
What did he dream of becoming?
He wanted to play hockey. That's the only thing he would discuss, wanting to become that hockey player. Every day.
Hey, good job, bud. Hey, he's moving.
EB is degenerative by nature. And as Jonathan got older, sports became harder.
Soon enough, I just knew that I couldn't do it anymore. And it was tough. I had a lot of trouble swallowing that one down because everything I loved to do so much, the one thing that I just loved to do was gone.
Jonathan's daily life is a competition against pain.
Hello, sunshine.
From the moment he wakes, his mother Tina, a single mom, is the only one with him for every delicate step. Jonathan is 4'7" and weighs just 60 pounds. With EB, even eating is a challenge. Breakfast includes a buffet of pain medications, including methadone, a powerful narcotic used to help heroin addicts in withdrawal. In order to prevent potentially fatal infections, Jonathan and his mother go through the same routine every other evening. His bath.
How's that? How's the water?
Not sure. I think it's going.
I'll wait until you're really in just to make sure.
Yeah, good.
Jonathan is wrapped from the neck down in bandages at all times.
Ow.
Sorry, buddy.
Except here, where one by one, those bandages come off.
If you live with this, you have to be strong. And if you're not yet, you will become, I can guarantee that. You have no choice.
I can't dry him, so he just kind of air dries. And then I start reapplying the dressings. So whatever we removed in the bath, we have to reapply once he's out.
It's just good for people to see it, just to make them understand that much more. It's one thing to hear about it, and to show it, it's a completely different story.
Come on, bud.
3.5 hours after they began, the process ends.
Voila. All done.
For all the physical agony, there is also a social pain.
Jonathan doesn't really have any friends. He was bullied. He was called some pretty ugly names.
At school, Jonathan must avoid other students for his own safety. An inadvertent collision could be catastrophic for him. As a result, most of his day is spent here, in a 9-by-11 room with his teaching assistant, Natalie.
I like to be kind of like any normal, regular kid. Just to be like everyone else would be fun, you know, just to be able to fit in, and that's all, you know, most people would like that.
You know, I've always told him that he wasn't alone. It's one thing to say it, but when you don't see anyone, you really do think you're alone.
Then came September 2012. Jonathan and his mother attended an international EB conference at this Toronto hotel. For the first time, Jonathan met others like him.
I'm not alone, and I do have friends. It opened my eyes that I now know one reason that I'm here, and that is to help people with EB.
He says, Mom, this is what I have to do. He says, I want to be an EB ambassador. He wanted to raise awareness about EB. He wanted to help people.
1 month after the conference, Jonathan's metamorphosis began.
The more people that know about EB, the more people understand and can help make it a world without pain.
First, it was local television.
I go and talk to them about what is EB.
Then, he was front-page news.
And this is our good buddy, Jonathan Hitler.
Next, he went national on Canada's biggest hockey shows.
The point was to make awareness to EB.
With each appearance, Jonathan's profile climbed, and EB awareness grew across the country, leading him to this day and to this place, his favorite place in the world. Except this time, he wouldn't be sitting in the crowd.
We're all waiting for this speech. We're excited.
Jonathan was asked to speak at We Day, an international youth conference. The audience? 17,000 fellow teenagers.
That's a big crowd. That is a very big crowd.
Toward the end of the event, Jonathan took the stage, and not on skates, but in a chair. Not with a stick, but with a steady voice. The butterfly child had his moment.
How's it going, Eden? I'm very proud to be here with you today. When I was younger, I dreamed of playing sports. I was going to be the next Sidney Crosby or LeBron James. Sports are in my DNA, but it wasn't meant to be. I needed to dream bigger to expand my horizons. I may not have the physical ability to become a professional athlete, but I've got a voice, and it is powerful. With my voice, I can become anything I want. A sportscaster, a coach. My options are limitless, and I'm in no rush to figure it all out. I challenge you, We Day. Start chasing your dreams. If I can do it, so can you. Thank you, We Day.
In that moment, what pain, if any, did you feel?
Pain in my ears. It was really loud. It was an incredible moment, like one that I'll never forget. It meant a lot to me.
Now, 3 years after his campaign began, Jonathan has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for EB research. But as it stands, there's still no cure for epidermolysis bullosa.
What is the life expectancy of someone with EB?
25 years approximately. Yeah, it's not a lot. Like when you think of it, I'm over half my life. One big fear that I do have is that I'll get to a point where I can't continue living life to the fullest. But I'm not gonna let it happen. That's a promise, not only a statement.
I'm Keith Hernandez.
Diane's going to move over to the keyboard just for this number. Just very quickly, these pieces that you've been hearing by Dan Forrest, and a young composer that just does a marvelous job of reinventing or adding to or changing the texture of things we already know. So those words that we have sung since we were little kids have more meaning. I just think that's a great job. I mean, these last 3 numbers have just been fabulous. It gets even better because I found this piece that is from a poem. It's in your program, so I don't need to talk about it a lot. But the middle part is so important because the poem basically says we celebrate Christmas and then we stop, but that's the wrong way. That's when we should start. And it says to feed, it says to clothe, it says to bring peace. You'll listen to that right in the middle and you hear these great words of what we're supposed to do after the concert tonight, after the family gatherings, after all those things are all over with. A great piece by Dan Forrest, The Work of Christmas.
Justice
close out our concert with the next three numbers, all from Handel's Messiah. It's not Christmas without the Messiah. And so I'm thrilled to be able to conduct these numbers again and have the chorus sing them for you. I need to give thanks to West Music out in West Des Moines. They allowed us to get this piano. We've been wanting a real live, honest-to-gosh piano for Diane to play, and it makes such a huge difference. It's not cheap, so thank you for your free will donations. Thanks to my wife for bidding so high. But West Music got that for us, and Craftsman Piano Service moved it, and so we're just excited to have it here tonight. So we're going to close out with three of the great choruses from Handel's Messiah, just the greatest music there ever was. And on the last number, I got a special surprise for you. We're going to bring up another 30 singers. These are singers from Capital City Church, and they're just a great bunch of people, and they wanted to sing this kind of music, and Ashley Van Horn in our choir is their conductor, and so I went down and we worked on it on Saturday, and we just had a great time. And so when we come to Hallelujah, we're going to have a real song in our hearts. So thank you all for coming.
sa sa re